Logistics is hugely complex and costly, so a successful logistics operation is about being efficient. Where can companies look to achieve this?
Great question. So we get asked this question a lot, and generally the answer isn't a really simple, oh, you look here or you look here, because it very much does depend on where the company is in its evolution. If you're a more evolved organisation, then there are still already always areas to look for efficiencies, to optimise, to make improvements. And, you know, the world changes, customer demand changes, that has a knock-on impact onto what logistics is demanding from the provider. So those organisations are going to be looking in a bit more detail at the finer percentage point savings that they can make.
How would a logistics company identify these areas to optimise?
I mean, there are various ways that you can do this. You can talk to stakeholders, you can talk to people on the ground, you can talk to customers. So actually getting human interaction is a really important part of that. Looking at best practice in the industry, if you're a smaller organisation, looking at the kinds of organisations that are similar to you, if you're or that you aspire to. If you're a larger organisation, looking at peer organisations. But one of the areas we feel is generally a very reliable area and that often gets neglected is in data. And with logistics, because it's such a fast-moving sector, because there are so many bits to it, and data is just dropping into a big well all of the time. And if you really know what you're doing with that data, you know what to do with it, you know where to look, what you're looking for, then you can start to uncover a lot of points that are very good and probably a lot of points that could need addressing as well.
Okay, and what are the basics to get right first?
Okay, so that's for the organisations maybe more at the start of their journey or the earlier part of their journeys where they're still evolving into maybe a slightly larger organisation, then there are various things. It's all to do with sort of best practice and making sure that your processes and your practices are well embedded within your organisation and you're getting them right. And that you're making the right strategic decisions as well. So for a smaller organisation, these may be, you know, on a strategic side, you know, to make the right decisions. What does your network look like? How many depots do you need? What kind of regional distribution centres or national distribution centres might you need? What kind of fleet would you need? Should you be using your own vehicles or should you be using third-party providers? It's those kind of really important questions that you can analyse to try and get right to begin with. On the more operational side, so once you've got your strategy in place, you're looking at that, then again, you've got various things that you need to put in place to make sure that you've got a smooth flow from start to finish. And those things will include making sure your order management system is in place, a warehouse management system, making sure that that's all neatly flowing and integrating with everything else, managing your warehouse properly. An area that is fraught with potential for optimization is with route planning. You know, how much does it cost to put a vehicle on the road, you know, in terms of the cost of the vehicle, the cost of the driver, the cost of the fuel? It's huge. If you're not optimizing those routes with a proper optimization system, then you should be doing that. And then managing the routes on a daily basis when they go out. So the driver hits the road, you need a transport management system, something that works in real time in order to be able to track those orders so that, you know, to send out customer communications, to allow drivers to get around efficiently, to give you a view of what's going on so you can mitigate and deal with any issues that come up. All of those things I would class as the basics to get right. Once you've reached a certain size, you need those in place, otherwise you're going to be throwing money down the drain.
And if you're confident that you've got solid foundations in place, what's next?
Yeah, so these are the organisations who have probably been around for a while, they've learnt a few lessons, they might have burnt their fingers on various things, but they've got a history and they will have evolved into a state where they've got these right. But just because they've got these right doesn't mean they can rest on their laurels. There are always areas where you can improve, and there are a huge amount of different places that you can look there. And often these are the areas that really are blind spots. So it's things like areas that we work with customers on are things like understanding your customers in a lot of detail. So really analysing your customers using data-driven methods in order to do things like reduce returns, which is a massive logistics cost, reduce failed deliveries, another massive logistics cost, certainly for home deliveries. Things like using machine learning and artificial intelligence to predict your customer behaviour and potentially things like predicting the time that your drivers take at a stop. And instead of spending 13 minutes for each drop, then it might be 5 minutes here and 25 minutes there. But if you can fine-tune that, there are more efficiencies to be had. Other examples would be analysing your whole distribution network on a regular basis using, again, that customer understanding, so you've got the right data in there, but using the right digital twin technology. So create an electronic version of your supply chain so that you can play what-if analysis with it. You can throw scenarios at it, work out whether it's worth doing in the real world or not, come back with a really data-driven business case that you can get sign-off on the things that really would fly. And there are always areas that you can look at. These are just some examples. We work with customers all the time to sometimes actually analyse the blind spots and to analyse the weak points for where we look and then putting these solutions in. The world of logistics is always really, really interesting because it's so quickly changing. I hope that gives you some kind of idea of where we think all organisations in the world of logistics can make improvements.